Hello everyone, it's Nicole Manion here, the host of Beauty Behind the Brand. I am doing our first ever solo episode today. So basically I'm going to sit here and talk to myself. Just kidding. We have had such a great feedback of questions on our story on Beauty Behind the Brand Instagram. If you're not following, highly recommend. We have so many amazing things that go on there, giveaways, short clips of our interviews, as well as some motivation for business owners in the spa industry, as well as the beauty industry. So let's dive into this episode. I feel like we have so many great things that people have been asking behind the scenes, and it's my time to kind of shine upon being a brick and mortar owner of a small spa, as well as being in the product line world as well with Miskoka Beauty. So let's dive into this episode. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of takeaways. Make sure to grab a paper and pen because you're gonna need it for sure. So on today's episode, you're going to be listening to me and only me, but we've had tons of questions here on our stories. So I'm going to go through them and kind of pick out the ones that stand out the most to me and that will make the most sense moving forward in 2023 in running your businesses. Whether it is a spa, beauty brand, product line, we're going to try to make it as interesting as possible, let's just say. I feel like there's so many things that we can take away from each other and questions we may be asking. So this is a great opportunity to be able to hear what other people are thinking, and you might be thinking the same thing in 2023. I know we're still fairly early on in this year, and our goals and everything should still be aligned with very similar goals that we had in January, and also realizing that we're very close to the quarter of 2023, our first quarter. So let's go through some of these questions. And you can be more interactive with us on our Instagram as well. If there's more things you want us to touch base on the podcast, people you want us to interview, because I feel like this is the community we're trying to build, and we want to listen to our audience as well as our consumers when it comes to the podcast. So let's dive into our first question. What interests you to start a spa business, and how has the industry evolved since you got started? Well, that was about 7+ years ago. I opened up our first brick and mortar location, which is Muskoka Aesthetics here in Bracebridge, Ontario, Canada. And I feel like so many things have changed. I'm a fully licensed esthetician, and I was mostly focused on lashes and gel nails. And that's kind of what pushed me into hiring people who didn't do the things that I did or the things that I wasn't as passionate about, which is usually skincare as well as waxing and that kind of thing. So I feel like the industry has changed so much. I'm seeing a huge trend with the Medi spas. That is something we have pivoted, as well as skincare. I feel like since TikTok and social media, so many more people are getting into the beauty world and realizing it is a career and it's fun. Like, I don't feel like going to work every day is work, as well as my staff, and I feel like it's just fun. You're making people feel good about themselves, and the industry has just revolved and grown so much, and people are wanting to become an esthetician or lash tech and nail tech, and people are kind of niching down into what they're really good at. And that's what I've noticed too, is I'm kind of one of those people, I like to learn everything, so I know how to do it at our spa. But I know the things that I'm passionate and I've put the most amount of hours in, and the things that I want to do when I go into the spa. With that being said, the things that I think have changed the most is definitely the education segment. I mean, it can always get better and revolve. But I feel like it's kind of one of those things. If you want to become a nail tech, you can take a course. If you want to become a lash tech, you can take a course. And that's something that I think is great, that people can do it as a side hustle or a side hobby, but then also taking it serious and putting the time in and really making sure that you're tackling the things that you want within the industry and revolving and growing as a professional. Our next question is, what are some of the most popular treatments and services that you offer at your spa in 2023, and what have the trends changed over time? Basically what I answered in the last one. I feel like Medi Spa is more where things are revolving and changing. People are wanting to see a difference in their skin and using professional grade products. We have a nurse on staff at our brick and mortar, which has been a game changer. I also find having more medical estheticians has been great too, being able to offer some more of those premium products and services. And it's also just feedback. I love learning. things that I don't know about. So I'll ask our nurse injector questions that I might have not learned anything about in the biology part of aesthetics. But it kind of comes twofold when it comes to educating clients on facials and some of those fine lines and some of the things that we know that we kind of have to use Botox and filler for, that some of the products may not be able to do without the help of the more medical injection side. So that's kind of where I'm seeing things changing and revolving in 2023. And I also feel like it's one of those things with the cost of goods going up so much too, you really have to make sure the margin of your product and service is there. So crunching down on that for sure. Some of those more higher premium services that not everyone is able to offer as well. Next question. How was technology impacted the spa industry, and what new advancements are you are most excited about in 2023? That's a great question. I feel like some of the things that we've talked about at the spa are more device motivated when it comes to technology, like microneedling. We have a hydrobrasion machine, looking into more oxygen facials with devices. But then also when it comes to technology, I feel like our online booking system has been a game changer as well. We are now with Squarespace. I can't say enough good things about Squarespace. It does everything we need for both businesses, whether it's the spa and or our product line. Every month, I swear there's new updates with Squarespace, which have been more and more beneficial. I'm not having to use as many outside sources when it comes to email campaigns, things like that. It's all done within one service with Squarespace. But yeah, that's some of the technology I'm seeing that's changing in 2023. I also feel like depending where you are located, I know the States has a lot of really amazing online booking systems and things like that. Canada is lacking in that, but so far I'm really loving Squarespace. We've been with them since 2020, because we made the change during lockdown. So highly recommend. If you have any questions about Squarespace, I also have promos and codes that we can use, and we can link those in the show notes. Next question is, what role does customer service play in success of the spa, and how do you ensure that your staff is trained to provide the highest level of service? This is a great question, and I feel like the onboarding process of hiring people is the most important time in time management. We have an amazing spa manager at the spa. She's a licensed esthetician with lots of experience. She's worked at other spas as well. I've stepped back completely from the treatment room, and I feel like I've now allowed her to kind of have that part of the onboarding, knowing how everything's run. She's basically my boss. That's what I always say. They're the professional. I'm just basically the behind the scenes and making sure the back end's all running the way it's supposed to. But the onboarding process is so important. Having protocols in place, having your handbook, being right up front with new hires. Don't have any, make sure you're an open book when they have questions. Be honest with them right up front. It is their livelihood to start working at a place, and they're wanting to make money. They're wanting to make sure it's a fun environment. They want to make sure all the things are aligning with who they are. My questions that I'm asking during the interview process is about the person. You can teach talent, you can teach the trade, but if someone is just not going to jive with the rest of your group that you have, and or they're just not as, I don't know how to explain it, just on the same level as you when it comes to morals and respect and that openness with clients and why they're in the industry for the right reasons. So I really feel like the high level of onboarding people and having that success is so important, as well as following up with your staff. Like, we do assessments. I'm always checking in with the girls, make sure everything's okay. I always ask them which services they enjoy doing, because I know for myself, you hate being at work all day, every day, doing a service you do not enjoy doing. I've done that day in and day out when I was working, and I feel like it was one of those things where I just kind of substituted where everyone else didn't want to work, and I did it. Just because of being the owner, I felt like I needed to step it up for those clients who needed that service done. But it really drains on you at the end of the day, and you really just got to make sure you're doing what you're meant to do and why you love the industry, and make sure your staff and employees are the exact same. It just makes for a better workspace. And I feel like with a lot of clients coming in, they can feel that energy as well. So super important for sure. For those who have been listening, you know I'm a massive fan of Squarespace, and I don't really know what I would do without them. With both our brick and mortar store as well as our e-commerce, I can do everything in one place. Whether it's e-commerce, I can do inventory, email campaigns, appointments, and so much more. Now, Beauty Behind the Brand has partnered up with Squarespace to offer you 10% off your first subscription. All you need is promo code PARTNER10. What are some effective strategies for marketing and promoting a beauty business in a competitive market? And how do you make yourself different and your brand from others in the industry? So this is definitely something I feel like a lot of people struggle with. I am the same too. Like, I feel like I always have those doubts of who we are as a business. And I feel like you really need to make sure you know your values and morals with your business. So whether you're going to be, I always think of like Walmart, for example. So Walmart is one of those businesses where they're cheap and affordable. That's fine. You just need to figure out what market you want to be in, whether you want to be quality over quantity and be more expensive, but know that your product that you're providing or service you're providing is luxury and people have to pay for it, and or convenience. Do you want kind of that in and out walk-in service type of model as well with a spa? So I feel like with people, you really need to figure out what your market is, where your competitive niche is. For us at Muskoka Aesthetics, I feel like we've become quite the household name in the Muskoka area since we've been around for so long. And I feel like we're one of those quality over quantities. We are more of a luxury spa in the sense of the services we provide, as well as the quality and the product that we use as well. We do not cheap out on products that we're offering. Everything from wax to nail services to obviously Miskoka Beauty, a little shout out, and a lot of other services that we provide. We really make sure that we're giving the quality of service to our clients. And that is how we've built our name. And that's where kind of our stepping point is and making ourselves competitive within the market. But with that being said as well, I feel like I go through some of the other spa menus, always doing market research in our area. And I feel like people are not pricing themselves fairly. And raising your prices every year is so important. So when we are looking at our prices, we have been raising our prices every year for 7 years because we have to. I have spa employees I need to pay. I have rent to pay, the cost of goods and services. I need to make sure I'm paying my staff fairly within the market. And I feel like with that being said, a lot of other spas aren't raising their prices. So then that is making us look more expensive, which is fine. But I feel like a lot of people are not pricing themselves fairly just to make sure that they're busy. So that's just something to kind of take away from this conversation is figure out your competitive edge and figure out those 3 points, whether you're convenience, you're more reasonably priced, or you're that luxury quality over quantity kind of mentality. That's kind of a great way to figure out that marketplace and that competitive edge that you're going to offer. Our next question is, with the rise of social media, how can beauty businesses effectively use platforms like Instagram, TikTok to reach engagement with their target audience? This is a great question. I basically run our social media for the spa. Danny does all of our social media for Miskoka Beauty. It is definitely a full-time job. I'm not going to say it's not because things are constantly changing, as we know, when it comes to the algorithm and what people are wanting, all the different trends that are going on. So I feel like one of the things that I love is figuring out kind of a theme. So we usually do a monthly special every month at the spa, and I feel like that gives me my theme for my content. That way it's not all jumbled and people are confused like, oh, today they're posting about a pedicure when their special's about chemical peels or whatever. So you can have like reasonable changes, but really make sure your reels, your stories are reflecting to those changes within your special, and or some of the specials and offerings that are maybe more of your premium services that you're wanting people to be noticing, like when it comes to maybe your hydrobrasion or hydrofacials that are more of your luxury brand, kind of what are making you different in the industry, which a lot of people aren't doing. Even if you have a nurse injector, making sure you're posting about those, and also your availability and openings. I feel like sometimes I'm annoying people when I'm posting our availabilities on social media stories, but to be honest, 90% of the time or more, they are filled because of those stories. So sometimes like being I don't want to say annoying, but being in people's faces when it comes to certain things is really, really good engagement, and it doesn't make people forget you. And not everyone's going to see you when you think they see you. There's so many people. Think people are following thousands of people on Instagram, and they're not going to see your story or your post every single time. So consistency is key. We love later.com. Shout out to them, because I don't know how I would run our social media pages without them. We discovered them again in 2020, and it is so reasonably priced. We have both platforms on there. You can even generate hashtags. You can save different stories. You can have things auto post. When I'm on vacation, that is a lifesaver. When we're planning content, it's a lifesaver. Highly recommend. As well as figuring out kind of your niche on whether your demographic is more maybe Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. But we are running a newspaper ad, actually, like a mail out for local businesses here in Muskoka. And I'm really interested to see how that's going to perform and having trackable analytics with that. So we have it where people actually have to cut out a promo to bring into the spa to use for our spray tanning. And that way we can actually track how many people have seen it or use it. Same with Instagram and TikTok. Really track your analytics on what is working and what isn't. Engagement. Ask your clients how they found out about you. Referrals. This could be a whole topic podcast on its own. So DM us if you have questions about it. Danny is definitely an expert when it comes to social media. I enjoy it, but we are here if you have any questions or need any help with anything as well. Our next question is, what challenges have you faced as a spa owner, and how have you overcome these changes continuing to grow your business? Okay, that's a loaded question. I feel like the biggest thing in the spa that I have had to deal with as a business owner is staff changeover. To be honest, I feel like because I'm also a young business owner, it's hard as you kind of become friends with people. You hang out outside of work, or maybe you knew them outside of work before you hired them. So it does kind of take a strain on your heart when people are leaving or wanting to go somewhere else or change industries. We have pretty much started from square one from what our spa was with employees at the very beginning. And we grew about every 6 months. We were hiring when we first started back in 2015. And now we have a completely different staff, as well as their niche. I feel like we've pivoted a lot more into that medi-spa style and facials. And we're bringing on experienced people. We're kind of giving ourselves kind of that edge when it comes to what makes us different and some of the offerings that aren't seen in Muskoka. So we have people that come actually from Barrie to come and do our medical side. We have lasers, Botox, filler, that kind of thing, as well as more geared towards those specialty facials. We still do offer all the services we offered before, but I just feel like you're kind of training people and you're spending the time with them, and then they're able to go and either open up their own business. They're able to maybe go work for someone else if they end up moving. There's so many different things you can do within the beauty industry, and that's what I love about it. And I never felt happy when I ended up having to leave to start my own business. I didn't feel the support from my the business owner at that point. So when the girls come to me and say, oh, I'm going to start my own, or this and this is going to happen, with respect, I've had it where people haven't given me respect when they're going to leave, and it was just kind of a nightmare situation. But I've always made sure I've stayed true to my boundaries, who I am as a person, not even as a business owner, like who I am as a person, and really made sure that when those people are leaving, I remember back to what I was like when I started my own business. We've just had someone leave our establishment to open up her own this month. And I have been like, literally, if you need anything, if you have questions, I found some stuff on Marketplace, I don't need it, but here, if you're interested, giving her some Miskoka Beauty products to get herself started. I feel like those things go farther than being pissed off and mad if someone's leaving. It's just going to eat away at you. I don't have time. I don't have the capacity. I feel like if people want to be negative and upset, that's fine. Just unfollow them on Instagram. You don't need to talk to them. You can just ignore them, whatever. Life goes on. I feel like when you dwell and worry about all the small little like petty things that are going on in drama, that's just what people want and they want to talk about. So I applaud all the all the spa business owners or beauty, hair salon, everyone faces it the same, especially in this high turnaround industry. But make sure you are a boss where people can approach you if they have questions, that they feel comfortable talking to you, because it's going to go farther. They're going to go and tell their clients anyways that they're leaving, or things are going to happen. And I feel like the more open book you are and telling them that it's going to be okay, there's enough clients to go around, that is what's going to make your business even better. And I can't stress that enough. I feel like I've gone through that a lot, being a business owner I opened my business at the age of 20, and I feel like those were the emotional drains that stressed me out the most. And now that I'm getting older, I feel like I'm able to let those go, whether it's in personal life or business life. The world is a small place. We only have so many years on this world, on this earth. So why be stressed out about it? So as a business owner, keep your head up, stay positive. Better things are coming your way. Make sure you are motivated to grow, and people will come to you who want to be part of your team. Miskoka Beauty wants to thank everyone for listening to our podcast, and we're offering 15% off your first bottle of lash and brow serum by Muskoka Beauty. Now, if you haven't heard, or if you haven't tried or seen before and afters, or even seen reviews, you're definitely going to want to head to miskoka.com and click onto our lash serum to actually read some of the reviews, because this product is unbelievable. It will enhance your natural length and your brows as well, making them more full and absolutely gorgeous. So head over to miskoka.com and type in promo code Beauty Brand Podcast 15. Once again, that's Beauty Brand Podcast 15. Happy shopping and happy lashing. Does the current economic climate affect the beauty industry, and how can the beauty industry adapt? So this is a loaded question as well. I personally feel like we are kind of recession proof. If you look at a lot of the charts that were published, even during the war, 2008, there's been a lot of conversations around this. Actually, my partner and I talk about this a lot as well, because he's in finance, and we are basically recession proof, and you need to not have the fear in that. We have an episode with Erin that was recorded a couple weeks ago. Highly recommend going back to listen to that. She says it in the most simple form of not having fear within the economic climate changes. We can set our minds in like a very negative way when it comes to the changes and what the news, that scared mentality. But people are always going to want their nails done. They're always going to want to get a facial. They're going to feel good about themselves, and they're going to put you in their budget. I feel like with myself, I cannot live without eyelashes. The pandemic I looked like a little naked mole rat. I could not handle not having my lashes done. That's why we came up with the lash serum. Like, there's so many things that I feel like people are going to gravitate to, whether they can't afford it, they're going to try to get something that's very similar, and they're going to come to you because they trust you. And having that loyal client, you cannot put a price on that. People are going to come to you no matter what, and making sure that they know you're going to be around through no matter what changes the economic climate is going to go through. There is a lot of fear, and people are going to start being nervous about finances and things like that. But I am guaranteed, if you talk to your clients, they much rather come for their nail appointments than some things. Like, I know with a lot of clients, there is much variety of the things that they would rather put their money towards for nails and such, instead of luxury things or necessities, like maybe the power at their house. You just never know. So don't have fear with that. Like I said, go back to Erin's episode. Highly recommend chatting with her. She has online business coaching too. Don't have fear. Everything's going to work out. We are recession proof in the wellness beauty industry, and I have total faith in that. And just educate your clients. Like, tell them everything's going to be okay, because it is, and you're going to thrive in this climate no matter what happens. Our next question is, what advice would you give someone looking to start a beauty business in 2023, and what qualities do you think are essential for success in the industry? Okay, where do I start? That is a very good question. I think perseverance, knowing who you are, having that like personal brand about yourself, as well as your niche. I feel like there's so many outside noises, Instagram, TikTok, so many things that are telling people to do certain things within their businesses, and figure out what you love doing. I personally love nails and lashes. That was like my thing, even though I could do facials and all the things, that just was not my favorite. So those are my two things I was known for, which was great. I'm also just like a bubbly, outgoing person. I also know during facials, it is like torture for me not to talk to my clients. So there's a lot of things that I think are very important when it comes to niching down in the essentials that you need for your business. Starting a beauty business does not need to be expensive. I started my brick and mortar with $15,000 and I was terrified. I'm not going to lie. I put my life savings into that at the age of 20 and I bought everything secondhand. I only took on services that I was able to do with the products I had. Then when I ended up having enough money, I would then move on to the next service I wanted to offer and made sure that the dollar amounts reflected on the service offering. So making sure that I could actually make that money back, depending on how much that service was costing me to bring in, whether that was like a lifting products or tinting products or lash extension products, because everything does add up quite quickly, and making sure I could make that money back in enough time to basically pay that Visa card off, or make sure that I had enough clients wanting that service before the onboarding and training for it. Also with the industry, I feel like sometimes big isn't always better. That's something my dad always reminds me of. He's a business owner as well. And figuring out how your model is going to be, whether you're going to be a solo entrepreneur or you're going to have a partnership, you're going to have room rentals, you're going to have employees, kind of figuring out what works best for your lifestyle and figuring out kind of what your dream is moving forward within your business. And also your personal brand. I wanted something that was kind of general neutral for people. I realized that after I made all my signs black and pink when I first opened, because we do have a lot of aging population where we are. We do have a lot of men that need help with foot care. We do have men that come in for facials and Botox, etc. So finding something that's safe for everyone to come in. They don't feel pressured that it is like a girly atmosphere, unless that's something that you want. If you're gearing more towards women, or you want to be able to cater just to like that younger clientele, older clientele, seeing if the space is wheelchair accessible. There's a lot of things to come into play when it comes to the location as well as the environment that you're building for your clients. And don't rush into it. I feel like that's something too, like we write these business plans and we think we know everything that's going to go on and what's going to happen. It all takes time. I feel like I've been in my business for 7 years now, and I'm just figuring out basically kind of who I am as well, because like I said, I was a young entrepreneur, figuring out who I am and where I want my business to be. And I mean, the pandemic was a huge pivotal point, but it was also something that was pivotal in a positive way for our business. It made me kind of get out of that treatment room and be able to work on the business, see what was working, change our online booking system. It's one of those things where just take your time, don't rush into it, and you will do amazing as long as you believe in yourself and don't think you're ever not going to succeed. In my head, I'm like, I own Muskoka Aesthetics and I own Miskoka Beauty, and I have 2 babies that I basically need to keep fed, happy, and thriving. And that is basically my day-to-day activities, is to make sure these 2 businesses / my babies, that's what I call them, are thriving and growing. I never want to see them not succeed and do well. And you need to have that mind frame moving forward and try not to think of the what ifs. So those are all the questions for today's episode. I feel like this was a fun way to interact with our listeners on our stories, asking us questions. Let me know in the show notes or on our social media if you would like more solo episodes, and or if you want some more guests that you have specifically wanted on and haven't been on yet. So once again, follow Beauty Behind the Brand on our social media platforms. Make sure to give us a review below, and we will hear from you next week as well as the week after that. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and hope you have a great week.